Good morning, everyone. This is the January 12th Transit Technical Advisory Committee. Let's go ahead and get started with introductions. I will read down the list and then check and make sure that I got everyone. So I am Dana Thruway with SCTA. We also have Drew Nichols with SCTA, Barbara Vincent with Golden Gate Transit, Brian Albee, Sonoma County Transit, Jared Hall, Petaluma Transit, David Ruperta, SCTA, Emily Betts, Smart, Jacob Brown, Golden Gate Transit, Joanne Parker, Smart, Maria RC, Sonoma County Transit, Matthew Wilcox, San Rosa City Bus, Ross Clendenden, SCTA, Steve Bertelbaugh, Sonoma County Transportation Land Use Coalition, Stephen Schmitz, Sonoma County Transit. I see someone calling in from a 415-802-7010. Could you introduce yourself? All right, could the person on the phone hear me and go ahead and introduce yourself? All right, well, hopefully we will hear from whoever called in a little bit later. I also see Suzanne Smith with SCTA just joined. And did I skip anyone? No, okay, great. Well, let's move on to public comment. Is there any public comment on items that are not on the agenda? Okay, and I also see that the call number is Barbara Vincent from Golden Gate Transit. So she's on the call and the Zoom. Thank you. All right, sorry, yeah. Was there a public comment? No, okay, great. Let's move on to the next item, which is the meeting notes from November. We have both November 10th and December 8th. We went over the recording from the December 8th meeting and somehow we skipped the approving the notes. So if you could all take a look at both sets of notes and let us know if you have any comments or corrections, that would be great.
They look fine. I move to approve.
Second.
Great, thank you. All right, so item number 4 on the agenda is the schedule of committee meeting dates for SCTA and RCPA for 2022. This is just for your information. And then item number 5, we wanted to have a brief discussion about the Amtrak San Joaquins Thruway bus Route 7, which is operating now, and really just wanted to open up a space for discussion, but also you know, we're wondering if there's considerations for including this route in your maps or your online materials and information. So just kind of wanted to bring that up and see if there's any plans for that and coordination with that service.
Where does this bus originate?
It's the Martinez to McKinleyville route.
Okay.
It's the San Joaquin Thruway service. Emily, you probably have in more detail.
Yeah, so 2 of the 5 buses go from Martinez on 37 to Petaluma and up north, and the other 3 go through Napa first before they head to Petaluma.
Emily, you've been talking with them, but we can't hear you. While she's sorting that out, I will just say and David, I'm sure knows this, the San Joaquin board just approved bus-to-bus ticketing, which also includes, it's essentially a term that means not having to also have an Amtrak ticket, which isn't a very catchy term. So they've approved bus-to-bus ticketing, which is also bus to non-Amtrak trains. And Emily's been working with them, as I know most of the North Coast operators, Humboldt, Mendocino, we just talked with them yesterday. And so they've been working on the actual ticketing mechanism. So to your specific question, Dana, I think ultimately SMART's interested in commingling all the media materials associated with it, but the mechanism, the actual technical mechanism for the ticketing transfer is not yet finalized. So it's a tad bit premature. And I also don't know, I think they pretty recently, like in the last 2 years, relocated the Petaluma stop to be at the Copeland Mall, correct? Everybody?
Yes, that's correct.
So more proximate to all of your services for bus-to-bus ticketing and proximate to this service. Oh, and now I got feedback. That must be Emily.
So other than the Petaluma, are they stopping at any other SMART stations along the corridor?
Not at the moment. We have several years ago talked to them about the possibility of routing through the airport station. They are not quite there yet. I'll just say things and Emily can agree or disagree. They're not quite there yet with the operational rerouting, but I think that we're all sort of on the same page on that being a goal. Not necessarily the airport station, although I think it would be a good stop, but the goal of the interconnectivity of the services and the timing and everything. So,
Can you hear me now?
Yes, there you are. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, new computer doesn't work. Yes, everything Joanne said, and I might have mentioned this before, that we are working with Amtrak to incorporate smart ticketing into Amtrak's ticketing software. So as part of the Route 7 switching to bus-only ticketing, so that people will be able to buy like a combo ticket. Yes, I think you said that it's not starting for bus-only ticketing until later this year, right? So the joint marketing probably is premature. And yes, they are planning on stopping at the airport. In fact, they want to see if they can adjust their schedule so that we have a better meet there as well. So it will be a much better connection.
And just to touch more background, I know that when we talked with MTA, Mendocino's executive director, they actually went and testified at the San Joaquin board in support of the bus-to-bus opening up the system. And our board took an action in support and wrote a letter to the San Joaquin board in support of the bus-to-bus ticketing.
Good.
Right. Thank you for that update. Yes, be something good to track moving forward, but it sounds like it's a little early for any real action on joint marketing. All right. Does anybody have anything else on this topic? All right, let's move on to item number 6, which is the MTC Public Transit Transformation Action Plan, network management, or other related projects. I will just open this up for discussion if there's anything that folks are tracking, subcommittees that are, they'd like to report on. All right, hearing none. Let's go ahead and move on to item number 7. This item, the short range transit plan updates for 2022. I know that you all were involved in the discussion at the Transit Finance Working Group meeting this month and last month as well. And I know there's going to be another discussion next month following the about to kind of firm up the plans for this next round of updates. We just wanted to check in generally and give you guys an opportunity to talk through any issues there might be, but also wanted to just touch base about the scenario in which there could be additional revenue and full restoration of service, an opportunity to expand on that, and just put out a reminder about the plans that the bus operators had put in for the plan development areas to increase service in those areas, and just through MTC's planning process. So just wanted to put out a reminder that about those plans that were forecasted out for 2025. I don't anticipate that, we're going to be projecting enough funding to fully fulfill that additional service, but just wanted to remind everyone of those plans.
Dana, so SMART just adopted its short range transit plan for the first time. And I know for those of you on the Transit Finance Working Group, you already heard me say that. And of course, we're happy to participate in MTC's coordinated effort, but I'm a little unclear how it overlays, or how, if it's still pretty vague to me, how this is all going to work out. So I guess we just kind of stay nimble and cooperative and figure out how we can participate. But we just adopted ours, so I don't know if the requirement is changing technically in terms, like we must adopt the new one.
Yeah, that's a point, and hopefully you don't get penalized for being on time. But
No, the way I understood it during the meeting, the TFWG meeting, is that this is really kind of a one-off effort, kind of a mini SRTP they're trying to collect information to inform what the ask would be for a regional measure, additional funding. So this is like a one-off, and then I assume they would go back to the normal guidelines for what an SRTP would be in a couple of years. So,
Okay, thank you.
And the draft, Steve, the draft is due in September?
the draft is due in September and the final in December. That's the other concern I brought up at the TFWG, was that that's not a heck of a lot of time, especially if they're going to be receiving information from 27 different transit operators. And I asked, are they like the normal SRTP? Are they going to be providing feedback, some back and forth? And that seems like a real tight timeline to do that for 27 different transit operators. So we'll see what they come back with in February if they expand that timeline. And they're supposed to have some more detailed guidance at the February TFWG.
Great.
That's helpful. Thank you.
All right. So let's move on to the next item, which is the Transportation Development Act, Article 3, and Transportation Fund for Clean Air quarterly report for FY22 quarter 2. It's in your agenda packet. There's projects highlighted in red that have upcoming expiration dates. The TFCA projects for fiscal year 2022, we have received the first check. So if you have invoices for those projects, you can go ahead and submit them. And if anybody has any questions, let me know. All right. Let's move on to operator updates. Smart, do you want to start off?
Sure. You want to go, Emily, and then I can add on with my piece? Or are you audio connected again?
Yeah, if I can figure out how to unmute myself.
Let's see.
Ridership has held steady. It took a dip during December,
Emily,
which is
Sorry, we do have hear an echo because I think you're on the phone and computer audio is coming through now. Okay,
Okay, let's try. Can you hear me now?
yes.
So I was just saying that ridership is just down slightly for December. It looks like it's back up a little bit as we start January, but this new wave of COVID is clearly taking its toll on everything, including riders. We're busy working on a sustainability effort as part of the FTA's Sustainable Transit Challenge. So that's taking a lot of my time. Let's see, anything else to share? We're moving forward with putting some bike counters on the pathway. So I think we're going to be issuing an RFP in the next month or so for bike counters on built segments of the path in both Sonoma and Marin. We've been working with both of the bicycle coalitions to get input on where to locate those. And the idea is to get a baseline number for the numbers of bicycles and pedestrians using the pathway.
Would those be permanent counters installed or, yeah, okay, great.
Yeah, it'll be permanent style.
Okay.
My
Are these
turn.
like infrared or tube-based counters? Do you know, Emily?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
The type of counters, are they like infrared, you know?
Yes, they're a combination of infrared on the post, and then they cut into the pavement. And the difference between those two counts differentiates between the bicyclists and the pedestrians.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
My turn. Are you done, Emily? Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Our production team is not very smooth here, sorry. So on the funding side, what day is today? Wednesday. So late on Monday, the Affordable Housing Sustainable Community Grant staff recommendations were announced, and the Petaluma North Station partnered with the Affordable Housing Project, and Petaluma was not recommended to be funded through that program. Because of this, we've sort of pivoted. Well, we hadn't really. I was kind of hoping, sorry, I didn't know there wasn't a TIRCP agenda item here, so I'll just bring it up now. We had sort of held off on establishing any hard set goals with the TIRCP application process until the January 10th announcement, which to give us the flexibility to be able to apply for a grant involving the Petaluma North Station in the application. So that's where we're at. I don't know if you want to talk about it now. I know you had an agenda item last month that I wasn't able to participate in on the topic, but SMART would like to proceed with a TIRCP application that includes the Petaluma station. But we had also been in conversation with a number of parties, you all, but also our North Coast partners, because the state had recommended we reach out and talk to them as well, Mendocino and Humboldt County, about their applications that were pending, and just sort of trying to be as collaborative as possible. So we had been meeting with them about fairly minor cost items, but big policy priorities for the state in terms of incorporating a couple of elements there into a proposal. We did talk with the city of Petaluma. They're very interested in us pursuing TIRCP for the Petaluma North Station. I think that the project is in the long-range transportation plan, so it would be viewed favorably from an MTC endorsement perspective, and it would be well served, I think, by collaborating with you all on your electrification proposals, because I think that's what the state has told us. Per capita, we have more TIRCP applications than any other region in the state, is what I was told. So the state has encouraged us to all work together. So given this very recent change in funding not coming through for the Petaluma North Station, I'm wondering whether today in this meeting or in a separately scheduled event, we can sort of talk about all of the TIRCP proposals.
How much is the funding request?
It's a prop for the Petaluma station itself. They're including the
Whatever you're applying for proposing to apply for TIRSA, how much would you ask for?
Well, for our element, but we would propose doing a group thing. So the other elements, including the stuff that we talked with Mendocino Transit about, I don't have those fully costed yet, but for the smart pieces, there's the station, which brings 4 million in local match to it, and is probably, I need to double check on the current estimate, but it's probably about 10 million for the station and another $500,000 for the pathway crossing inside the railroad right away over McDowell, which was a component of the affordable housing grant proposal. It's an enhancement and a scope step up, a scope addition from where we were at on that ATP funded pathway that goes all the way from Pine Grove to South Point. So overall, I'd say, I think it's 10.5 for just the smart elements. But we had talked, I mean, we talked with Mendocino about doing some Cal ITP fare validation elements and some marketing and outreach for the North Coast about the transit network in Sonoma and Marin counties, the regional transit network. There's always a Ukiah centered interest in trying to connect better. And when we set our system up, being Clipper only, we had, as some of you were in the room will recall, we had sat down and tried to figure out how we could get the Mendocino Transit, the 2 routes that serve Santa Rosa, to have fare transfer credits eligible as part of the launch of our system, like every other transit system around here has. And we were not successful in getting Clipper to allow them to have some handheld validators so that they could activate cards to get transfer credits. So we're kind of, a little 4 years later, revisiting the issue and trying to figure out how to get the fare media or fare coordination element of Mendocino Transit included. It would, I think, given that it's a Cal ITP thing and the North Coast seems more ahead of the game with the Cal ITP process, it might be a good thing to include that element in the proposal as well. And I know you guys have been talking, as have we been talking with you, about electrification of the local bus systems around some of the transit hubs in Sonoma County. So Suzanne, I don't know, I know you guys are talking about something bigger, but I don't know what you have in mind either. So maybe we should have a separate conversation about it.
Yeah, that's fine. I just, you guys had asked for 8 million
right
in the last round. And so I just heard 6. So I'm just trying to understand.
No, 10.5.
Right, but you said there was 4 million and
no, 10.5 matched with 4 million.
Okay.
Local match of 4 million, and we are asking for 10.5.
Okay.
And I think the issue is the combined application we've been discussing with City Bus, Sonoma County Transit, and Petaluma is already at probably 14 million or so.
Mm-hmm.
And I know MTC is talking about raising their threshold for TIRSA applications that they'll support outside of the big operators from 15 million to 20 million, but
right.
That's still going, if we combine forces, it would still go above that 20 million.
Right. Yeah, well, the state just put 2 billion into the program, so I'm not too worried about funding availability, although I know that they're going to do a separate call for projects for that 2 billion. But, they, in our communications with them, they were very clear that they want collaboration, right? As that's why you guys have headed down the collaboration path as well, but also that they want everything in one proposal in a menu format that they can pick and choose from. Right. So I get the MTC restriction on their endorsement, but given that it would all be elements inside Plan Bay area, right? So maybe, and in the past, they haven't, well, a couple things. MTC has not had the best track record in this particular funding program in terms of success with their endorsements. I mean, there are some projects they don't endorse that get funded, largely on the rail side, but there's also there's a lot they endorse that don't get funded. I mean, I don't think their endorsement is the end all be all. And they have done some clever endorsements before where they've picked part of a project or proposal to endorse or a subset of it. So one of our proposals in the past, they endorsed a piece of it, but not the other piece. So they endorsed, you know, whatever their limit was, 15 million for this one piece, but they didn't endorse the rest of it. So they can do that too. If that is helpful, David, in terms of the threshold conversation.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk internally to see how we want to move forward. And I know we're meeting with council soon. So we'll get back to you on how we want to move forward, whether it's together or separate from SMART. The other thing I wanted to reiterate is the $2 billion is not a done deal, just like it was last year. We have to wait for the governor and the speaker to make a deal, and it may fall through again.
Correct. Well, that's it for us. We're going to proceed with our proposal in the hopes that anyone wants to jump on board for a collaboration. We're available. We've communicated with MTC the basics of it, not the total dollar value amount, although we gave them a range that did include it, you know, kind of where all our pieces would be together. So I think that's it from our part. Yeah. That's the next big thing.
Great, thank you. Sonoma County Transit, can you give an update next?
Sure. Good morning. Our ridership is down a little bit in January as well because of the kind of resurgence of COVID. We're waiting to see if the JC does come back to in-class instruction on, I guess, the 19th, next Wednesday. Sonoma State announced yesterday that they were not, at least through the 30-day stay-at-home period, which goes through February 12th, I believe. So it's kind of an unknown there. The JC is the one that we're watching more closely, though. We have a major next bus upgrade scheduled, hopefully for this month. This is replacing all of our old 3G equipment with new 4G, 5G equipment. AT&T is shutting off the network in February, we're told. So that's why we're making the change. We have engineer working on our new electric bus parking lot charging facility here at the transit facility. We hope to have that approved and done and bid and constructed hopefully all this year. We have 3 buses on order that will arrive in May or June, and we have 3 more that will probably arrive after the new year, so 2023, about a year out. So that's where we're at. Anything else, Stephen?
The only other thing I had mentioned is, I don't know if you've mentioned in the past, the new real-time signs that we have soon to be delivered and will install throughout the county. It's through a company out of Sweden, Accentia, and they look pretty modern and pretty nice. So we're excited to get them out there.
Right. We have 10 signs initially, kind of a pilot program, and if this works out, which hopefully it will, we'll do more in the coming years.
So are these in addition to the next bus and the waste sign? Is that right? Or do you no longer have the next bus? Okay.
No, we still have
right.
those. This just adds more signage.
They're smaller signs. They're like the size of a large actual bus stop sign. So they're you can put them on a pole. So it doesn't require a shelter to install.
And they have 3-year batteries, and so there's no solar or anything. So hopefully we put them out there and they receive the next bus signal and all that, but hopefully there's no maintenance. That was the big thing, why we went with these. So.
Did you do an RFP?
No.
And what's the name of the brand again?
Well, it's VIX out of Seattle, but the signs are really coming from a company in Sweden.
It's called Accentia. I can send you the information. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it for us.
All right, thanks. All right, Petaluma, an update?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. So we continue to work towards implementing our Veterans Fair program. That'll go before council on the 24th of January. If that gets approved, we would start in President's Day on in February. I forget the exact date of that, but February that would be starting. We continue to deal with staff shortages here. We're pretty tight on drivers. We've been doing a lot of work there, doing kind of analysis of our wages, seeing how competitive we are with other nearby agencies, and if we can do anything to assist there. But it's getting difficult to find drivers by this point, as I'm sure everyone's in the same boat. We'll be starting our triennial review process, assembling all the documentation now. It's a fun process we do every 3 years. But it takes a good amount of time, so we'll be diving into that. We've been doing some radio upgrades to our system recently. We've had a few issues over the past month with repeaters that stopped working. So we've done some work to upgrade that and put some new equipment out there. So our radio system is working better than it was previously. In terms of bike share, we provided comments back for the second batch of the location proposals for Petaluma that we received. I'm hoping we get the third and possibly final batch of the locations back relatively soon. I don't know if you know anything more about that, Dana. And then we can get that going through our internal process here in permitting. And that's about it for us.
Thanks, Jared. And I don't think I have any more information than you on the last set of bike share permit applications, but I do have a call soon, so I will check on that. All right, Santa Rosa.
Hello, everyone. It's probably gonna sound repetitive, but we are also struggling with drivers. So with that being the case, we are going to probably effective Monday drop 2 of our runs to hopefully open us up just to make service a little more consistent with given the drivers that we have available. I mean, we've lost drivers to attrition, and then also just the day-to-day drivers being out due to symptoms and or positive tests has kind of made it hard for us to operate. So even though we don't want to reduce service in this way, we're just doing it probably to the end of the month just to make it consistent for the riders instead of day-to-day like we have been. December was one of our highest ridership months since the start of the pandemic. So that was the good news, but now looking week to week in January, that's dropping again, which is unsurprising given the surge and the fact that most of our ridership growth was through students, which are not going to school because they're on some sort of quarantine, whether modified or not. And then we're taking a council item on the 25th that will be a more substantial reduction in service where the Route 1 will drop from 15 minutes to every 20 minutes. And that should open up 2 roster positions that we currently have that we won't have to fill with drivers. So, and we also have a survey out regarding that reduction. It's online. So I don't know. No one here needs to really answer that, but we do have it out for our riders. That's kind of and on top of that, we have our triennial, but that's our problem and not yours. That's it for us.
All right, thanks, Matt. All right, Golden Gate Transit.
I could speak for Golden Gate unless Barbara, are you still on mute? Take that as a yes. So David Davenport couldn't be here this morning. He's testing bus rapid transit lanes, and in San Francisco, but he did send
You're
me a few
kind of
updates.
cutting in and out, Jacob, for me.
Okay,
audio.
let me. Hey, is that any clearer?
Sounds better.
I'll try to speak up. I was just saying that I have a few updates to share from David Davenport, and mostly related to staff shortages as well. We have a bus driver shortage, as you know, so we have eliminated the extra 30-minute service that we run on Route 101 on weekdays. We suspended it as of December 20th. So Route 101 now operates only hourly at all times. And we don't know when we're going to restore the 30-minute service, likely June at the earliest. We also have a maintenance staff shortage. So the bus stop signage updates that we're working on have been delayed. We hope to complete them by the end of the month. And then we should have enough staff also to remove the old shelter in East Petaluma at Sonoma Mountain Parkway and East Washington Street. The city recently issued us an encroachment permit so we can pull out that shelter. And also starting March 13th, routes 101 and 172 will be realigned away from 4th and C in downtown Petaluma. Making that change because of the difficulty maneuvering the 45-foot buses to access that stop. It required a lot of turns on narrow streets. So at that point, customers are going to be redirected to stops at Petaluma Boulevard South and FG Streets and Copeland Street Transit Mall. I guess on the finance side, yeah, Jared, feeling your triennial pain. It's taking up most of my time right now. And but we also did get some good news. I don't know if this affects anyone else on the call, but there was a court order granting a stay on implementation of the USDOL determination for PEPRA. And so it's gonna hopefully allow us to get the rest of our relief funding application submitted. So, and we also, been hearing good things that, we may have even longer. So that's about it for our Golden Gate.
Jacob, can I ask a question about the ridership on the Route 101? Is it stable or?
I don't know. And yeah, I don't have it in front of me here, but so I'm not sure.
All right, thank you. Does anyone have any thing they want to discuss related to transit fares or Clipper Start? Okay. All right, thanks, Barbara. I see your message in the chat about asking David Davenport about 101 stats. Thank you. All right. Other business comments or announcements. I'm going to start off because I have a couple of things I just wanted to draw your attention to. One is the Vision Zero draft action plan. There was an announcement in our newsletter that recently went out about this. And you all should have been also added to the distribution of that, but I don't have screen sharing. That's okay. Let me know if you do not have that information and I will make sure that you get it. There are a couple of items in the draft action plan that are related to transit. There's a recommendation to install I don't have the technical term in front of me, but it's the sidebars on buses that prevent running over bicyclists and crashes, as well as a recommendation for extending transit service hours further into the evening to reduce impaired driving. So yeah, it'd be great if you all could take a look at that. Brian, did you have a question or announcement?
Yeah, I met with the auditors department last Friday, and we have an estimate, revised estimate for TDA funds for this fiscal year, and then we have a new coordinated claim estimate for 22-23, which by next month, Transit TAC will have a new coordinated claim. But I'll give you the numbers. We had we had projected a year ago, it's in the coordinated claim, 26,600,000 in TDA. That's now being
Trying to cut out at the worst possible time, or missing something.
He's a cliffhanger. Wait, what?
oh,
Cut out,
okay.
Brian.
Well, I guess we'll just start over. That in the coordinated claim, we had 26,600,000 projected for this fiscal year. That's been revised to 30,500,000, a 14% increase, which is pretty incredible. And then the auditor's estimate for 2023 is 32,025,000. So that's a 5% increase over the revised fiscal year 22 estimate. So I'll be working with Dana here in the next couple of weeks. We'll get a coordinated claim out to everybody by next month's meeting. But the TDA revenues look good. And of course, Measure M would follow. It's also a 1/4 cent. We will get the STA numbers from MTC after they release the regional fund estimate, which is probably about this time next month. So in terms of TDA funds and I guess Measure M, it looks good.
That's great
More to
news.
come.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm also have a call scheduled with MTC on the STA funding and just some technical discussion on the swap with the ARP and how we're going to document that in the coordinated claim. So that will all come to this committee next month. All right, Steve, did you have a question or announcement?
Yes, just a comment about the Vision Zero discussion. A part of it relates to late night service because drunk driving is a big issue when it comes to road safety. And it's pretty clear that you can't run bus service very late into the night because the usage is too low. So the question is, at what point do we start to get TNC availability that's subsidized so that people don't try to drive home after they've had too much to drink? So that's just an issue that I think is going to be lurking out there. And I know it takes a long time to develop these kinds of things. Folks might want to begin to think along those lines. Thanks.
Thanks, Steve. All right. Does anybody have any other announcements, comments?
Dana, I just wanted to let everybody know that I put information about the Accentia signs in the chat. So if they want to look at that link, those are the signs that we're purchasing.
Great, thank you. All right, well, thank you all for your time today, and we will see you next month or sooner.
Thanks.
Thank you.